Have a compelling dashboard in front of you at all times. Refer to it regularly with another human being to create professional responsibility. That's everything. The Realtor Scoreboard, the Realtor Dashboard. Okay, and you're going to see it's a very same school of thought. Now, before I show you what that scoreboard should look like, what I'm going to show you is a team scoreboard, because it's the easiest to show you how teams track, because solo agents never really do. But this works for real estate teams or solo agents the same. You'll see that very, very quickly. And I'm going to show you a very old dashboard because it's the one I've used to train and coach forever. So don't get all caught up in the semantics and what it looks like. The visual, I'm an old dude, man. I've been doing this for a long time. So I try to explain things off Excel spreadsheets. That's just what I do. Because here's why. Now, there's lots of systems out there and programs that we partner with at ICC that make them pretty, that make them customizable, that make them auto-populate from CRMs, that talk with your CRM to self-populate your dashboard. And they're great. And I love them. I do. And I think they're all great. I'm not here to sell you on a product right now. If you want to know which product, get a coach, get, training but what I want to do is show you how to track. So I'm going to show you what that team scoreboard looks like and what activity-based indicators that agents need to focus on and what results-based indicators they need to focus on, okay? So we need to track lead generation first and foremost, right? Like we've talked about. So very similar to brokers and leaders too. That's the interesting thing here. So I'm going to show you without further ado. Here's what a team scoreboard looks like. So this is what solo agents should be tracking. It's what teams should be tracking. Again, it's old school. It's green. I mean, this is when, this is way back to an ICC. And even when you coach with ICC, we have nice new things now that don't look like this, that all my other coaches use. I don't even know how to work half of them because I don't do that anymore. Thank goodness, because I'm leveraged. However, this gets it done. And you can see the activity-based indicators. These are actionable things you control where we're going to go. And I always think, every agent should focus on their sphere of influence first, right? And I know no one likes to hear that because it's boring, but almost all top teams and brokerages and agents get the vast majority of their business from their SOI. So if you're trying to focus on like prospecting or inbound leads or being organic on Google, those are all great. Don't get me wrong. They're actually wonderful, but they should never be in lieu of your SOI. Your sphere of influence, the people you know, the people that you're in relationship with need to be where you spend most of your time, right? That's why it's the top, okay? So we focus on contacts first, and you should have weekly goals and monthly goals and annual goals as we move out to the right. And you can see this scoreboard happens to track, each week, right? And you can see down at the bottom, it's old school. Like here's May and then June and then July down at the bottom. And then in each one of those, it actually will show you, okay, here's the weekly, the 4 weeks in that month. Okay. And then we're going to input each week. You can see we have a weekly goal and how many did we do? How many contacts do we make to people in our database? Right. And then is in alignment with our monthly goal and our annual goals. And then SOI growth. How many new people are we adding to our SOI? What's your goal? For some people over here might just have in the middle in the gray, might have a goal of just adding one person to their SOI. That's usually for people that have established spheres of influence that, newer agents, man, you need to add tons, especially if you're going through your phone for the first time or your Facebook friends or your Instagram, friends, people like that. You should be adding a lot more, maybe 10 a week. But once you've tapped your phone and, your social media channels, then we got to go out and meet people. Okay, it might slow down a little bit. That takes more time. But your goals need to be very aggressive in your first year of business. It depends who you are and how important it is you to grow your SOI. Someone's been in the business 20 years that has 500 people in their SOI. It's important to keep growing. It's always important to keep growing, but maybe one a week, maybe even 2 a month or 0.5 a week. Or we really need to focus more of our time on contacting the people in our SOI because it's already big. We just got to manage it and cultivate it and grow it that way by adding value, right? And you can put anything in here. Open houses, if you're an established agent or a new agent. Open houses are powerful on the listing side. Always are, right? Maybe it's prospecting for expired listings. Maybe it's prospecting for FSBOs. Maybe it's door knocking. Maybe it's circle prospecting. Maybe it's doing your Facebook 10-10-5 where we're reaching out and getting new content out there. Maybe it's video texts. You know, what we're showing here is online. Maybe you're supplementing SOI with online leads like a lot of teams do, where we're tracking, you know, the CRM. This is what this lead follow-up tasks column means. Making sure that there's no outstanding tasks by 5 o'clock each Friday, which means that the agents are going to their CRM, making sure all their lead follow-up contacts and their active campaigns are being touched. Because we're not just contacting leads once, we're actually following up and trying to make multiple contacts and moving them through the different lead follow-up campaigns. Maybe we're tracking total online lead contacts. Maybe we're tracking our time to first call on new leads that first come in because it's speed to lead. If we don't contact a lead within the first 5 minutes, we got problems. If you're getting online leads, whether they're pay-per-click or even from the premium portal leads from, you know, Zillow and things like that. If you're assessing lead value there, it's terrible if you're not getting to them in 5 minutes or members of your team aren't. This team is also tracking recruiting appointments. I look at some of the people on this. This is like my wife's team, like 15 years ago or something, 10 years ago. I don't know. It was old. And they were small. But this could be anything on here, man. I mean, anything, but your ABIs need to be tracked and they need to be based weekly with weekly goals, monthly goals, and yearly goals. So we can see and quickly at a glance, by keeping it simple, see whether we're ahead or we're behind. Then we move down into our conversion measures. This is not as important, but it's still important enough to be on a dashboard. Are we tracking listing appointments set, listing appointments had, and listings signed? Buyer appointments set, buyer appointments, these are buyer consultation appointments. So we're not just jumping and showing properties. And then buyer agency agreements signed. Exclusive buyer, people call them buyer listings signed. And then ultimately, how many contracts, how many offers do we write that get accepted? That's called a contract, right? Offer and acceptance. How many contracts do we get under contract? We're tracking that, maybe not focusing on this section every single week with an accountability partner, with a coach, with our team meetings, depending on who you are. This is where I want you to focus up here on the ABIs. These are what drive the conversion measures. You can't have anything to convert if you're not doing your ABIs. So your focus is always here. And this is the most painful stuff. This is fun to track, assuming we had a lot of it to track. You won't get a lot to track unless you keep your focus up here. This is the painful stuff, right? Then we get conversion measures to track so we can develop our conversion rates. For teams, again, I'll move quickly through this. We're tracking training measures. Are they getting through our ICC courses? Are they shadowing senior members of teams? And again, people graduate through this process. It's usually short-term, 6 months to a year to get them trained so that they're self-managed, right? So they can actually take courses so we don't have to train them. So they shadow agents that are already doing existing activities. So it's no skin off our back to train to make sure they're doing their part. If they can't do this, I'm not going to waste a lot of time on them. They're probably not a fit for any real estate team. And then of course it's results-based indicators, right? Again, everybody tracks this, hopefully, how many you've got year to date under contract, how much volume do you have pending year to date, how much we've closed year to date, how much came from each agent on the team, which of those closings actually were given to them by the team, and then our closed year to date volume. So we're tracking everything from ABIs at the top, the tip of the spear, most important, down to conversion measures, second most important. And then thirdly, training measures and results-based indicators lastly. Because this is stuff we can do nothing about. These are RBIs. It's important to know it so we can track trends and see who's doing wells. And it motivates us to see if we're ahead or behind our goals. Don't get me wrong. So it's got to be something up there. But the real focus is always on the ABIs because that's what we can control. That's what controls the next 3 months, the next 6 months, the next year. That's what makes it a business by design. It's why we track. It's why we have a scoreboard in the first place. It's everything to the real estate interest to track and to motivate and keep it visible out in front. Okay, and that's the importance of a realtor dashboard. All right, I know I kept you guys, but I wanted to make sure I got through that at every single level for everybody. Okay. Okay, because I promised everybody I would do that. It's the same concepts all the way through, guys. Keep it visual. Have a compelling dashboard in front of you at all times. Refer to it regularly with another human being to create professional responsibility. That's everything. Okay?